thing to realize, start thinking about is your composition. And the best way to do this is just there's a few ways to do it, but think of the golden rule. And basically, so there's a certain way that your eyes kind of move when you're examining something. You kind of tend to focus on something and you kind of learn the details first. So if you look at someone's eyes, that's the first thing that your mind notices. That's why your mother or your father always told you to look someone in the eyes, because that's the first thing you notice. You're looking at somebody. And then you kind of can already just kind of pick little things out you do this subconsciously and you don't even know it. So if your main focus is like somewhere in the eyes, you can kind of build a composition around that. And there's a golden rule it's golden rule, look it up. And so basically what it's just saying is that there's a naturally pleasing way that your eye accepts images and naturally says, oh, that looks great. So, you like to take like what's your main focus on a subject. Like for me, you can see a little bit, I'm a little bit to the right over here. My eyes are about right here. So if you cut the frame here and here, I'm right here. And then if you cut it here, I'm kind of in the middle of it almost. And then so that's breaking it down, like instead of this big frame, if you break it down into 9 separate quadrants, you can kind of, you can have like your ground here, maybe the buildings here and the sky here. But I mean, all that just goes to is look at images, look at things and decide like, oh, that's pleasing to me. And, just things to keep in mind is to keep in mind the composition. Keep in mind headroom. Sometimes this definitely looks a lot different. I mean, of course I'm slouching, but compared to when you come up here like this, I've got, it's a lot more pleasing with headroom versus if I'm here, now you cut me off and it just doesn't look as great. Then, right here, a little bit of headroom, a little bit of space to breathe. That's another thing to consider. My eyes are leading here. I can also look in here. So this is something, my composition, I'm here straight looking. This is used for a lot of walk and talk, but for interviews, it's right here. It's very pleasing to the eyes. It's not distracting that I'm looking at you, especially if I'm talking to you, it's fine. But if I'm not talking to you and talking about the time I went to, the party store, they're like, why is he telling me about why I went to the party store? But if I look this way, I'm telling an overall story. And it just seems to lend itself.